Hello and welcome to this week's episode where we're going to be talking about the scary things that are in New Zealand. People contact us all the time and go, yeah, we would come and visit you in New Zealand, but we're scared of this and that. So we put them together and we discuss them.
Do you remember? I jumped out of bed. I put my dressing gown on. I said, come on, get in the car. We're all going.
Where are we going?
And they were like...
I have to warn you, number 6, you're going to be thinking, I didn't expect that to be scary. And it's the smallest thing. And it's the scariest thing. So hang on to number 6 and see if you agree with me. Let's jump into the show and I'll see you on the other side.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're here underneath our Mount Taranaki. We're hoping it isn't going to go dark. And we want to talk to you about scary things that are in New Zealand.
Not just in the dark.
No. Scary things sitting in the dark in New Zealand.
Yeah. So it might go quite dark halfway through the podcast, but hey.
We're going to try and make it really quick because we were like, it's going to go dark. They're not going to be able to see us. So we're going to hurry things along. Yeah. So basically, people have been in touch with us and they said, we're scared of this, we're scared of that. My kids are worried about this. And then we compiled them. We compiled them all together. And I think we've got about 5 of them. And we're just going to talk about the scary things that people are worried about coming to New Zealand.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Sorry, there was a big moth up heading for my microphone, but yeah.
All right. So number 1, scared of eruptions, volcanoes erupting. And, when we first moved to New Zealand and we built our house on this plot of land, Brian's family were like, what are you doing? Why have you built your house so close to a volcano?
Yeah, because that volcano up there that you can see, it kind of looks small from on the camera, but it's 2,400 meters high. It's not an active volcano. It's a dormant volcano. It's past an eruption date. So it could go any moment. Could go while we're doing the podcast.
Shut up. Don't say that. Why would you say that? Imagine that.
Well, that's it. You don't want everybody moving to Taranaki, do you?
Just don't come to Taranaki.
You just stay where you are.
Yeah. So that is Mount Taranaki. It erupted 150 years ago. Like Brian said, it's a dormant volcano. And yes, it could erupt and go off, but I don't know. It's just, I know
when I was a
you?
kid, it used to really bother me. I used to think, well, why would anybody live? I think going back to when I was a kid, I think it was Mount St. Helens that erupted. And that was like, oh my goodness, that was so scary to me. And
right. Say what we're drinking.
Oh, right. Yeah. It was scary to me, but we're drinking Jack Daniels and Coke and Liz's vodka and cranberry juice. And here's to Tessa, our daughter. She's nearly 17 and she's just passed her driving test today.
That's scary. That's flipping scary. New Zealand, they're allowed to drive so young compared to the UK. That's scary. Anyway, Go on, getting off the subject.
Yeah, as we always do.
So that last erupted in 1854, didn't it?
Yeah, see, I'm flying off the seat of my pants. Liz has done some research just so she can look clever.
Well, I thought people are like, oh yeah, when was the last time it erupted? And we've lived here for 12 years. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just...
Was it big? I don't know.
No, but they say that it's ready to erupt soon or something, but
who knows? But the thing is, you just tend to think, oh, I'll just get in my car and drive away. But
yeah. So we're not giving you what you can do about these scary things. We're just highlighting the scary things and
that are in New Zealand. You would have heard of that. It was about 18 months ago. Must have been when White Island went up.
Yeah,
maybe it's longer than that. Yeah, I should know that.
Yeah.
So White Island is a active volcano that people. It's an island just off the coast on the east coast of New Zealand, on the North Island. That you would have probably seen it on the news and things. That there's a few boats went out there to do the normal tourist thing there, and it erupted and bang, it went up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary,
Yeah.
Yeah, and even there's
if you sat and thought about it, if you said to someone, if you really sat and thought about it and thought, oh my God, it could erupt. Well, what? Because I sit here and I think if Mount Taranaki erupted now, where would the lava go and where would it reach us? Do you ever think that?
Yeah, but the thing is if you can see at the back there, you see there's a dark line, that's an extinct volcano, and then Mount Taranaki is behind the Porkai Ranges.
Yeah.
So if you ever think of lava flow, we're thinking, well, it'll go around the side of us because it's not going to come over that range that's in front of us. You can see a little peak on the left-hand side. That's higher than Ben Nevis in Scotland. So, hey, that's just what we call the ranges. It's not what we call a mountain here.
Isn't it beautiful though?
Oh,
And we
it's
had
gorgeous.
the first sprinkling
Yeah.
of snow today.
Yeah.
And I just sit and look at that mountain
Mm-hmm.
all the time and I'm in awe. I'm very respectful of the mountain.
Yeah,
And,
you
it's
get
just,
so much energy feeling off that
You
mountain.
do.
You just really do.
That's the other thing as well. Okay, we're not going to go on a tangent, but don't you think that when you live somewhere that there is that chance, like, that you're just constantly, like I say, respecting it.
Yeah, you do. You take into.
There's that energy,
Yeah,
isn't there?
you-
There is a real energy.
Yeah, it is, and you don't know what that is.
I know.
It's like a bit like Liz says, but you respect it and you appreciate it.
Yeah.
Of
yeah.
what is around.
Yeah.
You know, you really do.
And I don't want to sound like ooh woo and everything like that, but it does make you sort of appreciate life, and you just, because let's face it, anything could happen to any one of us at any time, and it just, I don't know, that's just like a constant reminder just to appreciate. Like, I'm not saying that I do every day, like, oh yeah, I appreciate life, but it would be nice if you could. Yeah, you do, of course you do, but I don't want to make out that I'm like this perfect,
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and go, ta-da, I appreciate life. Thank you, man, taranaki.
Yeah, but it's it's
Anyway.
very, very fertile as well. So
Yeah.
things do grow here very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we're on that subject, should we talk about earthquakes? Because that is a scary thing to some people. And I've got a lady that's in our New Zealand guide, and her big concern, she's moving over in like 18 months with kids, and they're only little, and they're just terrified. They're absolutely terrified of earthquakes. And
But you think of it's kind of weird again, because I was thinking, why would I ever move to a place that had earthquakes? So you think, well, one of my dream destination would be. You're drinking my drink now.
I don't like
Liz is a
whiskey.
minesweeper. She'll
I
just
don't
drink
like
anyone's
whiskey.
drink. No, you don't.
no, sorry, go on.
So anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. So one of my dream places, or two of my dream places in the world that I would really seriously think about living. One is California, and one is
I'd
Italy.
love to live in California.
Yeah, but that's right in the San
Everyone's
Andreas
beautiful
fault.
in California, aren't they? Including
Yeah.
Katie.
That's
Katie
why
has
we
just
would.
moved to
That's
New
why we
Zealand,
would
so-
never fit in. Well, I wouldn't fit in. You would.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So and Italy, they get earthquakes. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
they've got volcanoes. You know, Naples, that's huge. What is it, Mount Etna?
That's what I can't
like-
understand. Is like so many of our family have said to us, like, "Oh no, not New Zealand. I'm not coming there." It's like, earthquakes. What about Italy?
What is it?
They
Europe,
always go
Europe
to
gets
Italy.
earthquakes. America gets earthquakes. You know.
Yeah.
What was it? Gloria Estefan, wasn't it? What was that song, Coming Out of the Dark, was when that big earthquake in California happened, and she got stuck under an overpass or something on a motorway, wasn't it?
Oh, well, that would.
And that's what that song was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, it's one of those things. So, hang on, I wrote some facts down. 14 to 15,000 earthquakes happen a year in New Zealand. 14 to 15,000, but only 150 to 200 of them are large enough for us to notice, which
And you do notice them.
you do.
Yeah,
You do.
So I mean, we haven't had a major one here in Taranaki, but I remember I was working outside when the Christchurch one, and the aftershocks of the Christchurch one, and I can just remember seeing a retaining wall sort of just bouncing. It just, it wasn't violent, but it's just this. Oh my, you're moving like this, and it's like bump, 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 and planks rattling on the retaining wall. And you just think, it's kind of scary. And you're like, is
It's
this going to
really
get worse?
scary. It
The
is
whole
scary.
the whole thing just sort of moves. It wasn't a violent shaking, but then you'll get like tremors and shocks that you'll be in the house, and it's almost like an express train. You'll hear it like woof as it comes by, and the whole house will just go boom, like that.
It's really funny because when we first moved to New Zealand, for some reason, I didn't even think about this. So
No, yeah.
if you haven't seen our things that scared us about moving to New Zealand, go and watch that video. But on there, you won't find anything about earthquakes because it was like I didn't think about them.
No, you don't. No, we're talking different type of scary things.
Yeah,
wasn't it,
but
really?
I remember when we first came and the first earthquake we ever experienced, we were in bed. I don't know, it was about, we'd only just gone to bed anyway, and the kids were still awake. They were on their phones or whatever in their rooms. And all of a sudden, like Brian said, it was like an express train coming through, and the bed it felt like someone was just going like that on the bed.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I jumped out of bed. I put my dressing gown on. I said, "Come on, get in the car. We're all going."
Where are we going?
And they were like, "What?" Brian was like, "Where do you think we're going to go?" Like, and I was just so scared. And now, if you have an earthquake and it shakes the bed, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a little bit, ooh, but you're just like, oh, go back to sleep. Don't wake me up.
The thing is, what's crazy is like you get used to having a bit of extra stuff in maybe one of the wardrobes with food and things that would last you a few days. We've got a bag of rice.
Yeah, a bag of rice and a bottle of water.
Yeah, but you used it all. I got a load of stuff once and let's just used it all.
Yeah. I know, and that was really bad of us because after we had that the Christchurch earthquake, we were really
we had water and stuff.
What's the word? Is it diligent? Yeah, and we were really like we said, right, okay, we're going to go out, and we went out and bought all this, like you say, water, rice, dried goods,
all the dry goods, the UHT milks and things, and just food enough to last you for 5 days.
Yeah,
that's all they say. For 5 days, if you've got enough food to last you for 5 days, you should be okay because help will hopefully come to that. Area by then.
It's too tempting though, isn't it, Brian, when you run out and you're like, oh, just go and get some of the
get the stuff out of the emergency rations because that mountain hasn't gone yet, so that'd be all right.
Get the emergency rice out. Let's just have some of that for dinner. So that's number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah.
Number 3, leading on from that, is tsunami. That absolute tsunamis. Of anything in the whole world scares me. Tsunamis frighten the life out of me.
They've got to be one of the things that you just, I don't know. I remember we were in, I can't remember what year it was. Gisborne.
Yeah.
What
Gisborne
year was it?
In 2016.
Yes, it was. Yeah. And the Japanese.
Oh no, it wasn't 2016.
2011.
I don't know. It was when the Japanese.
Yeah. I've got a feeling it was maybe 2011.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. Well, correct us if we're wrong. We just go again, flying off the seat of my pants. This is going off my grey matter.
Just watch now all the comments will be coming in. You don't know anything about them.
I just remember that going off, and I think the next door neighbour we were staying with your sister at the time. Cheers. They just started, getting in the car and moving away, we think, what are they doing? Then we figured out. We went on the internet and we could see this live stream from Japan. Of these tsunamis, and it was just devastating. And we were then on a tsunami warning because obviously, that sort of shockwave will travel at the speed of sound, I think it is. And it was supposed to hit New Zealand around about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
So she lives right on the beach, my sister.
Yeah.
She lives in Gisborne and she lives right on the beach, and literally you can touch the sand from her house, can't
it is,
you?
Yeah.
It's
not like she's up high up or anything. It's just literally at beach level.
But they have evacuation warnings in place. And hang on, because I wrote something down. Don't let me forget this. Right, so there's a Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Hawaii. And if there's going to be a tsunami, they give you plenty of warnings. So you can get to higher ground and you go through the evacuation.
I mean, nowadays your phone should go to the emergency state, and someone else is in the room will. It's a bit like when you get a COVID announcement or an earthquake announcement. It should ping your emergency.
Remember, we were in Japan on the train, and we were all sitting there, and all of a sudden, everyone's phone just went beep 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 beep. It was like, what is that?
Yeah, and we didn't have. Well, we did have a Japanese. No, we didn't have a Japanese SIM card.
That was in 2018. It wasn't in the year that they had the really serious earthquake, was it?
Yeah.
But it was like being in a science fiction film. It was just something, and they all looked at their phone, didn't they? And
but we had to go to higher ground at around that time. So and there's a big cliff at the back, so we went up there. But nothing. It never really. In
New Zealand, you mean?
In New Zealand.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. So going back to the Gisborne thing, we got in the car, and everyone just goes up to higher ground and just waits until they're given the all clear to go back down again. Yeah. So, but I did write some facts down about tsunamis as well.
Yeah.
So since 1840, there's been 10 tsunamis that have been higher than 4 meters high. How high is 4 meters?
Ceiling height in your normal house, like a more modern house, is 2.4 meters. So twice the height of your ceiling.
That's high.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, if you're in an old house, it's going to be a 3 meter ceiling. So imagine another meter on top of that. So hey, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all I can say about that is I can only tell you our story of it. Like I say, when we were in Gisborne, and it was no one panicked. It wasn't like run, it was, everyone was really calm, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they just all came out, and it felt very, they knew what to do. Because I was saying to my sister, should we be panicking? Because we live here, so you know.
Yeah, well, we're 200 meters
We're
up.
high,
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it happens all the time. So they live on the east coast. Gisborne is on the east coast of the North Island in New Zealand. And so they're used to those warnings. You know, they get regular
Well, any
warnings
coastal
like that.
people, you know, and again, you're used to what happens with tsunamis. If, you know, you see all of a sudden the water rushes out of the harbour, or, you know, the water's going away from you, then there's a chance it's going to come back and be a tsunami. But
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I can see why, if you're a, you know, you would worry about that, wouldn't you?
of course you would.
Are we going to be seen? Because it's getting really dark.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just going to check your light. Let's see what you like. No, it's still light.
Okay.
Yep.
So tornadoes in New Zealand. Tornadoes are quite rare. There's only 7 to 10 moderate to strong tornadoes a year in New Zealand. But, and I've got to tell you this, do you remember when we first moved here, we built the house, so basically we'd moved into the house and Brian had built all these fences, hard, you know, solid fences around our property.
Not that solid.
Well, you did. You spent ages, and they were like, you spent weekends and weekends building these fences.
Yeah, but
I was convinced, like, you know, that we needed this privacy, and, you know, just build these fences. And it was these sort of fences that went like that, weren't they, Bri?
They
were on.
Yeah.
It wasn't a solid fence.
It was almost like a shuttered fence, but they had different angles, so you couldn't see the neighbour's house, basically,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So you'd walk along, but you could always see the view of the sea, but you could never see that, and they couldn't see you. So it was a bit like a Venetian blind. Do you know that effect?
Yeah.
But they were vertical.
Were vertical, yeah. They were brilliant, actually.
Yeah, they were great.
We
Well, they're all
spent a lot
overgrown
of
now,
time
aren't
on
they?
those. I know, and
Yeah.
it was a waste of time because all the plants have grown over them. But anyway, we'd moved in and we'd moved into the house, and these fences were up like that. And then all of a sudden, this wind came. And I've never seen anything like it. And you were at work,
Yeah.
and it was just getting dark. It was about 5 o'clock, and I was at home on my own with the kids. And this wind, it just came from nowhere, and it just took the fence that Brian had just
Only
built.
a section of it.
A section,
One
of,
section
it,
of it, yeah.
and just threw it into the paddock, like, you know.
Yeah. So tornado. So the cat is right next to the camera. She's looking like she wants to go.
Come here, come
Yeah,
on,
to
then.
it.
Come on.
And well, another tornado. We get a lot of strong winds here, but the tornadoes. I just remember being in the house once, and all of a sudden it just sounds like this. Really, like, it's a persistent wind, but then this strong wind happens and it gets more and more intense, and you just know that's a little mini tornado. And I remember it picking the barbecue up off the deck, which was against the house, and it just literally went shooting past the window and threw it onto the garden, and it just smashed it into pieces.
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh.
Yeah.
We weren't laughing at the time because we'd just blooming bought that thing, hadn't we? And it wasn't
Yeah.
cheap either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was talking to a guy this morning actually on the chat, and he's from Oklahoma, and he said,
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
but they get like
They get
T2s
really,
and
really
T3s,
bad
T4s,
ones.
T5s, whatever they are, like big ones. You'll get the odd big one, but it's not the same as those tornadoes.
why is it that
those
when you
guys
hear
get.
tornado in Oklahoma, you think of, remember that film where she went whizzing off?
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think of that, and I don't mean to be horrible or anything, but I'm like, oh, I bet that's really good. I know that's a horrible thing to say.
To see the house
I know,
flying
yeah,
around.
I know you shouldn't say that. But it's just like, that's what, as a kid, that's what you used to watch, wasn't it? Was like, you know,
Yeah.
in those
Well, that's where the witches are in those,
American, pardon?
aren't they? Witches.
Yeah.
They're in those tornadoes.
And I wanted to
on
say
bikes.
to him, can you please video it? And I thought, oh no, that's a bit off. You
Yeah.
shouldn't say that to someone, should
Not
you?
really, no.
When they're just, you know, battening down the hatches. Oh, can you just do a little video and see if
Just
you can see a
film that.
witch?
Let's see it. There's a rainbow in there.
All right, okay, so we're nearly there now. So we've done
Yeah.
earthquakes, we've done the sun in New Zealand. Got lots of it, haven't we? And look, before we look, the strongest UV rays in the world.
Can I just go back to tornadoes for 2 seconds?
Go on then.
We built the house, and someone said to us, "Oh, you've built your house in Tornado Alley."
Who said that?
The farmer.
Really?
Yeah, because you can't quite see it, but you see a couple of houses in the background, and just at the back of that is the farmer's shed. It's like a 4-bay garage for tractors, basically, and it actually just lifted the whole thing up and obliterated
I
it.
remember that.
And we were like, "Oh, what have we done? Why have we
Yeah.
built somewhere in
Do
Tornado
you know,
Alley?"
Bri, you forget these things, don't you? I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that, because I remember that now, and he did say that to us, and I remember thinking, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I was just so
That's it, because it's a valley. There's a creek down here just to your left, and they say that the wind will come up through from the sea, and then it'll pick up I don't know, a tornado for some unknown, however it does it, and
Yeah.
comes up Tornado Alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and it's
Also-
and you'll notice when there's a thunderstorm and then hailstorm and thunderstorm in one, that's when there's a chance of little small mini tornadoes.
I think the weather here is. I know they do, I know they say, oh yeah, the weather isn't extreme in New Zealand, but I think that's why no one complains about the rain. About the rain in England, everyone, or in the UK, everyone just complains about the rain. No, it's raining and raining, raining. That's what we're known for, isn't it? Like, you know, the moaning Brits about the rain. They don't do that here, and I reckon the reason they don't do it is because when it rains properly.
Yes.
It doesn't just like do like a drizzle. It really, really rains. And you know the sort of rain where you're like, you can't stop watching it. You're like, oh, I just love it. Like, you know, it's just, and it's proper rain. It's not.
Yeah, it does. They are a little bit extreme. And you know, I know I'm going to say a very cliche thing, 4 seasons in one day, but shit, yes. It happens
I know,
in New Zealand.
yeah,
It
definitely,
really does. I know it can happen in England and stuff like that, but it happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You can get hailstones and you think, it's not that cold to hail. And then, you'll just get a layer of like biggish hailstones on the ground. And, I remember working at building sites and thinking, oh, well, you need to go home in a minute. And then it'll stop and the sun will come out. And then before you know it, you're taking your top off and it's just you've got your vest on. You know?
Well, not your vest.
Or your singlet.
That's a bit extreme.
No, it's not very.
Hailstone, there you are in your vest.
No, I'm saying you put your coat on because of hailstones and it's like, you run for cover. You literally do. You get back in the van or whatever.
Yeah. And before we move on to the sun and the last one that we're going to tell you about, let me just tell you this. We when we were buying this land, there was this English couple and I said, oh, come and see this land that we're going to buy, and we were so excited and we were just, like what it's like when you're about to buy something and all you want is for people to say, oh, it's really nice. And she came up and she said, oh, I know someone who lives at the back. Do you remember?
Yes,
Shall I say it?
Yeah. Well, wind and flies.
Yeah. And she's like, all this area is known for is wind and flies. She's got like a Cockney accent. She goes, wind and flies, that's what you're going to get. And I'm like, oh.
You'd be doing the summer sometimes.
She was right.
Yeah.
She was right because literally the next month the fence blew down.
Yeah.
And the bloody flies, we're inundated with them all the time.
But we wanted
aren't we?
views. I wanted, that way you've got a view of the ocean, and this way you've got, actually it's the sea, it's a Tasman sea. It looks like an ocean to me. And that behind is the mountain. So yeah.
All right. So quickly before it goes dark, the sun. Super extreme. Did I just read my facts?
No, but you
Okay, so New Zealand has the strongest UV rays in the world. Number 1, New Zealand. Number 2, Australia. Number 3, Norway.
Well, it's because it's north, high up, thin air.
We've been to Norway, but I don't remember it being hot. That's because we were on the boat at night.
Yeah.
Number 4, Switzerland. I like Switzerland.
No, Sweden, I think it is.
No, Switzerland,
Switzerland.
actually. Yes.
Switzerland.
Yes, Switzerland.
Hello, Switzerland.
Hello, Switzerland. Can you comment in, please, and tell us?
Why Switzerland? Why not France and Germany?
No, Bri, this is the highest UV rays in the world. Yeah.
But why?
I know. I don't know. I don't know.
Please tell us why.
Yeah, and I know
in
you
Switzerland.
will. Yeah, in Switzerland. But
Was your meter faulty?
I think it's something to do with the ozone layer being. People say it's because the air is so clean, and there's no dust and pollution, and then the UV rays come through.
Yep.
And other people say it's because there's a big hole in the ozone layer, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah. All it is like I'm just thinking France and. Well, there's me doing my geography. Germany and Italy all border Switzerland, don't they?
Anyway, moving on, because shush, Bri, don't be silly. It's going to go dark in a minute.
Okay.
Moving on, the last thing, and this is something, never mind your blimmin' of volcanoes and eruptions and tornadoes, right? Listen to this. Sandflies, Bri.
Sandflies.
Sandflies, that's something you need to be
New Zealand
scared of.
black fly. You see them and they just have this like little sucker thing. It's not like a mosquito bite. It's almost like they
are vicious.
It sucks on you, and it's not like a bite as such, but it
is.
When you first get here, it's really super itchy, and it'll blow up a little bit.
I'll tell you what, you go round to my mum's. It's funny because we live here and we get wind and flies, but we don't get any sandflies.
No, we can. You can do if you go down by the creek.
But you go to mum's.
It's on a cloudy day. That's when they get you. It's like a warm, cloudy day.
But you go to my mum's and she lives literally 20 minutes down the road in
God, it's getting dark,
Ukato.
isn't it?
Yeah, no, quickly.
I'm going to check it again.
You can't. Can we still be seen?
He's still seen, yeah.
And you
It's going to be grainy though.
You literally can't. You can't sit outside at my mum's without covering up all blankets, just getting eaten alive. Can you?
They go for your ankles mainly, and then you'll feel them on your arms and things.
I had another good fact as well.
Just cover up, or you've got to use the spray, or a good sunscreen might, with a perfumey one, might just distract them a bit.
I'll tell you, and I can't remember what it's called. What's it called?
Tropical strength.
No. Yeah, well, that's good for mosquitoes, but no, there's something. It's called. What's it called? It's like
Going
a natural
inside.
thing. No,
Citronella?
Brian, no. Citronella doesn't work. That doesn't work. I can't be doing it when they say citronella. It doesn't work. It just smells like a big candle. It's called something like off or something like that. Bite off, or do you remember?
Yeah,
and it's
bug off, I think it was.
I don't know, and it is natural, and it works. I thought, oh no, it's not going to work because it's natural, but that does work. Right, okay. So the west coast of the South Island, there's sandflies down there that bite 1,000 times an hour, Bri.
Yeah, not many people live on that west coast of the South Island. I can see why.
1,000 times an hour. Can you imagine that? You're like,
Yeah.
But in saying that, if you are moving to New Zealand and you're worried about the sun, no, I'm not going to say that's rubbish. No, I was going to say,
my cousin came over from America, and he was like, "What on earth are those things that are having a go at me?" I know in Florida you call them no-see-ums, the little tiny things that you can't see, but here they're just, again, they're quite small, but they kind of feel it burrowing in. At first you think, "Oh, I don't know what that is," and then when you know what it is, you'll see people swiping the legs.
Yeah.
It's just like a wipe.
Yeah,
it's almost like, you've got the Australian wave, which is to get rid of the flies, but the New Zealand's is almost like it's a slap that goes down the leg.
Yeah.
And you just do it. You're just like, oh, what was that? And you know what it is, and it's like, get them off.
Yeah.
I think I've got a video when we were talking about a market once down at the port, and I was watching a guy, he's like playing the drums or whatever he's doing on the kettle or whatever, and then you just see him swipe his leg. I'll put this in the video for you so you can see it.
Just to get him
no,
off,
he swipes his hand down because I think he's patting the bongos or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I've got that. I'll show you that. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that has answered your question, and we've talked about everything that you're scared about New Zealand, things that are scary, and hopefully you can still see us and it isn't
in the
too
dark.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful sunset over there.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really
and yes,
is.
last night was that big moon, that big super moon.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, my mum said that's the biggest one for 25 years or
They
something.
always say that though.
I know.
I know. It's just like,
I
was
wish
it
I'd
25 years ago?
I don't know.
I remember Terry Wogan. If you ever remember Terry, he was saying, "Oh, this is the biggest moon for 40 years." Well, it's like, so this one's 25. It's like,
Well, yeah, but it's
Anyway.
important. It's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so
if you can still see us,
hope you're all well, and thank you very much for watching and for commenting and for being there.
Yeah.
And
please subscribe. Click the button.
Forgot to say that.
I know we should have said that earlier. But we'll
They're gone now.
Yeah.
I think, come on, let's sod off. Okay, well, if you're still here, subscribe and
Please.
And
Yeah, it helps us a lot.
yeah, it does.
Makes
So,
us keep going.
have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, kia kaha, stay strong, and hopefully it's not too dark.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him.
Mother thanks you.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello.